public debt, and we know the numbers. So public debt also projects very far. It's only the fund that does, some projection. But this is what we are talking about. So you see that there was a slight drop, then going into 2014, 2015, even though it was rising, you see that it was flat. In fact, there is a version of this that goes back to the hippie era. And you see that the only period when it started, this was, during the period. And then you can see the green line and the blue line were the same. There was no difference, right? From 2017, 2018, there was a difference. And what's the difference? The blue excludes bailout costs. Right, that's the only difference. Right. Now you can see that the potency of using sinking fund and the rest, yes, I keep repeating it because those are the instruments we have to, was that immediately we put, we started applying the sinking fund, and then also we refinance much of our bullet bonds. Bullet bonds means that you are paying on the interest, you are deferring the principal, which is what we seem to be doing now, right? We're having difficulty borrowing to roll them over. And it's not just sovereign bond. It's not just a standard. In fact, we do that for treasury bills. The reason why you can tell your bankers, oh, roll over my, treasury bill rate of standard and add the interest so that it can even be multiplied, is that you are actually rolling over because the government is rolling over. Right? The government is not paying down. But immediately we started paying those things down, you see that the green line started dropping. You see that the blue line with or with, they all started dropping. That's the domestic, foreign, and total. They all started dropping. And then we stopped those measures, and you can see that the rate at which we are borrowing started going up, which is reflected in the total line on the left. You see, it became flat, then it started going up. Right? So if there is any evidence that some of the measures have worked, this is it. And in fact, later on, we can show you the one in the debt management report. It shows virtually the same thing. The 2020 debt management report that was just, released. Right. So let me just end on why we say, that the issue was not just COVID. We'll be very fast on this. You can see that our gross, this is the situation we discussed with the IMF. It's in the IMF report. The good thing about the fund is that they always publish their reports. It's now part of what, their shareholders, including Ghana, agreed. So you can download this. The Article 4 in 2019, and then the loan report. We said we had gross borrowing needs of 16.1. We revised it to 20.2 to include, COVID. If you look to the right, you see that the first column below, there are no figures. That's because there was no COVID when they did Article 4. To the right, you see that all of a sudden, that's what caters for COVID, in the second column, which is the COVID. But let's go to the left. So you see 16.1 and then 22.2. These are our borrowing needs that we disclose to the fund. And then we said they will be met from external borrowing, domestic, and then amortization, external. We gave the various things. We'll go to the domestic market to borrow. We have a non-marketable, which is a euphemism for Bank of Ghana providing money to government. So you can see the money that Bank of Ghana gave is there. So these were, all there. The cash buffers. We even said we use ESLA. And then we said that there's the IPP funds and the rest, all those things, were there, right? Now, we come to financing. Before exceptional, that is COVID. Now you see the 16.1. But when it came to COVID, you see that the 22.2 changed to 18.1. It should have been 22.2, right? Because if it's 22.2, then it means that your gap, the sources of revenue, you have to search for more. And the difference is equal to interest rates, if you look at the detailed, table, right? So you see exceptional financing that we disclose to the fund, the green line further down, exceptional financing, is 2.1. And we said the IMF will give us money, the World Bank will give us money. After that, we still had a remaining gap of 2.9. Now, if you correct the 18 to 22, and you add it to your 2.9, you see that you are at 6 or 7%. Are you following me? Go to the top. You see, whatever is at the top on the left should be the same on the right. You know, remember we were bringing down the deficit down to fiscal balance 1, then we bring it down to fiscal balance 2. It's the same amount. It should be the same amount until you add something, right? So it should be the same. This may be an arithmetic error. It may be whatever, but we say it should be 22. So if it's 22 point something, let's say it's 22.1. It means that you are adding what? 4%, right? So if you had used 22%, then your fiscal gap, you know, after, you know, all of this thing, which is 2% or so, should go up to about 6 or 7%. And you see why we say that there was a gap of about 7%, right? Before, you know, COVID, because the COVID cost has been catered for, you know, even in this table. So this is it. So if you correct the 22, then as you come down, you know, the remaining gap, it should be adjusted. Sorry, there's a mistake there, right? So there should be a second table. Okay, I think there's a second table, which if you add, you know, suddenly increases it, you know, to, okay, no, it's not been added. There should be a table. It's still 18.1, which should be adjusted to, you know, should be 22.2, and then it would increase the financing. So this is the first reason we say that we have other problems, you know. Now, if you come to the 2020 revised budget, okay, so this is it. So when you correct to 22.2, now we add, because they are percentage of GDP, you just have to look at the nominal GDP that was used. And you can have, you know, the CDs there. So you can see financing gap, you know, financing of gap 6.3, and then it changes to 7.4. You know, so you see the 7.4 repeats itself after the IMF financing and the rest. So we have the gap of about 7%, right? And then we said we'll use the stabilization fund, you know, to, in there somewhere you see even gold monetization, you know, which is some, you know, name probably, an earlier name for Japan or something. Yeah, gold monetization was envisaged as part of the solution. If you look at the detailed table, right? So, so our own, and then we come to our own mid-year review. And a mid-year review, the adjustments that were made, this is it. You know, we reduced, because of COVID, we reduced, you know, revenues, you know, significantly and the rest, right? And then we said, in spite of that, we had to finance the expenditure. And the expenditure increased from 21.2 to 25%, whilst, you know, the deficit, whilst the revenues were going down. So this is what gave us the huge, you know, gap, right? Now, if you look at the adjustments that were made, the first one was for compensation, wages. The second one was for interest. That's the positive ones, right? You know, and then you have the COVID-related. So you see, even the budget is showing, in addition to COVID, that we had, you know, some gaps, you know, which, you know, are not all, you know, identified. So this is the, you know, the overall balance after all these adjustments you have to. So this is another evidence that we had some problems and we should look at them, right? Later on we'll give these tables out, and during question time we can go through them, those of you who have questions, especially the financial journalists who are here.